She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Word of Mom Radio here on the Word of Mom Media Network. I'm your host, Dori DeCarlo, and you know we are here week after week, show after show, breaking those myths that mompreneurs and businesswomen, especially those of us building our businesses from home that we're just dabbling in between bake sales and getting our nails done, we're not. We are smart, we are savvy, and we are sharing the wisdom of women in business and in life, and I'm looking forward to bringing today's guest in. Dr. Emily Levy is the founder and director of EBL Coaching, a specialized tutoring program that offers individualized one-on-one home, virtual, and on-site instruction using research-based multi-sensory techniques. She's the author of Strategies for Success, a 22-part student workbook series that teaches students strategies for test-taking, note-taking, reading comprehension, writing, summarizing, and executive functioning, along with the Flags and Stars Orton Gillingham study workbook series, which helps students develop their fundamental decoding and spelling skills. Additionally, she's also the author of Flags and Stars Multisensory Math, a multisensory math program that helps students develop a stronger understanding of core math concepts, including addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and fraction. These workbooks are currently used at schools nationwide. Dr. Levy graduated from Brown University, received her master's degree in special education from Nova University in Florida. She's also completed her doctorate degree in education from Nova University. She performed a 5-year research study developing an alternative strategy for teaching reading comprehension and won a 5th place Westinghouse Science and Talent Award for this research. She's also spoken at national and international conferences on research-based teaching methods. And I could keep going, but I really am looking forward to bringing Dr. Levy in and having her share with us. So with all that being said, welcome to Word of Mom Radio.
Well, thank you so much for having me and for the wonderful introduction. And I'm very excited to be here today.
It's kind of fun to hear all the stuff that you've done. It's like, oh yeah, wow.
Kind of nice.
And I'm thrilled to have you here. And I would love for you to take us on your journey that led you to creating EBL Coaching.
I would be happy to. I do have somewhat of an interesting journey in that I actually grew up in the field of special education. My mother was the founder of a school for students with learning disabilities down in South Florida, which is where I grew up. So I really spent so much of my childhood working at her school, being trained in different methods, observing teachers, observing students, and really seeing what an amazing difference having the right research-based techniques in place can be on the lives of a child. Fast forward though, I kind of thought I wanted to carve my own path and not follow in my mother's footsteps. Went to Brown University. I actually did finance of all things for 2 years, but quickly realized during that time that education was my calling. I recalled how gratifying, how rewarding it was, and knew that that's what I wanted to pivot back to. So I ended up getting my master's degree in special education, as you mentioned, along with my doctorate degree in education, and slowly and organically began to create what is now EBL Coaching. I started tutoring students myself who had all kinds of special education needs, and then slowly started to bring on other experts who specialize in different skill areas and different grade and age levels, and eventually formed what is now EBL Coaching, where we have an amazing team of tutors who specialize in providing one-on-one instruction to special education students using all research-based multisensory techniques.
That's awesome. My background was in special ed, so I have an affinity for people that work with kids and work with families, because it really is about everybody understanding what's going on. So who do you specialize in helping with right now?
Well, we really specialize in working with all different types of special education students, including students who have various types of learning disabilities, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, also ADHD and executive functioning challenges, autism, speech and language challenges. Really, anyone who kind of has special education needs is our specialty.
My middle son was speech delayed.
Hmm,
And so at one point, I was an interpreter for the hearing impaired. I taught him to sign
great.
because when he went for his IEP, his expressive language was an 11-month-old and his receptive language was 5 years, 8 months.
Yeah.
And he was 2 years, 9 months. The woman was like, I've never seen a discrepancy this big. When he got to special education, his speech therapist goes, of course he doesn't speak. You taught him how to sign.
Hmm.
And I couldn't believe it. It was like, where did you get your degree?
You're right.
I mean, seriously, you have to help kids communicate. So,
Absolutely.
how do you work with families with them understanding that special needs are just that, they're special needs, but there's workarounds, there's ways to teach your children to be able to do what they need to do.
Absolutely. Well, first off, I think we're so fortunate that we now live in a world where there are so many resources available for students who have special education needs, whether it's services at school, services outside of school, speech therapy, tutoring, specialized approaches to learning. But I think what's really important is that a parent always advocates for their child, particularly in school, but really in general. I think sometimes our inclination is to feel like, oh, the school has it under control, the teacher knows what they're doing. But I hear too many times families finding out midway through the year or the end of the school year that their child has been struggling for months and months and months, and it wasn't until that point that they found out about it. So I always tell parents, especially if they have a special needs child, start the beginning of the school year by meeting with their teachers, meeting with any service providers like a speech therapist or a specialized tutor. Share with them information about their child, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and set up a line of communication, whether it's monthly check-ins or regular periodic meetings, so that nothing gets missed and so that you don't find out after the fact that your child's been struggling when you could have been more proactive along the way.
Do you find that there are things that sometimes parents miss because they're too close to the situation to see?
I do. I think sometimes parents may feel like they see their child struggling, but they think maybe it's developmental or their grades are okay, so they're fine, even though grades are not always a reflection of skills. So sometimes I think parents may feel like it will just correct itself with time or the teachers have it under control, but too often that's not the case. And if parents don't take action and be proactive and stay in communication with their child's teacher, a lot gets lost in the process and the child loses valuable learning time because it wasn't addressed and identified earlier.
What kind of techniques do you use in helping kids in special ed?
Well, our specialty is using all research-based techniques that are individualized to the needs of each student. Now, there's been a great deal of research as to the most effective methodology for helping students who have learning and or attentional challenges. And really that is using a multisensory approach, meaning rather than just say working out of a workbook or listening to a teacher, we integrate the senses simultaneously, the visual, the auditory, and the tactile kinesthetic modality. So for example, when we're teaching a young child how to read, we might use a method called the Orton Gillingham method, which is a specific research-based multisensory technique where we integrate tools like colored sand, magnetic tiles, audiovisual flashcards, mini whiteboards, all as part of the structured systematic approach to teaching reading. So it's again, research-based, multisensory, and very much catered to the needs of each student.
My middle son, again, was borderline ADD, and they
Okay.
wanted to have him on Ritalin, which
Mm,
I wouldn't do. And so what I did was I controlled it with diet. I watched what
yeah.
he ate. I made sure. And it was so funny. He would go to people's houses and they'd say to him, would you like to have a soda? He goes, well, not unless you want to watch me bounce off walls. He said, but I'll be happy with a glass of water. and they would laugh. But I said, you know what? He at one point had gone into, for whatever reason, that uncontrollable crying where he couldn't stop. And all I did was hold on to him and hold on to him until he stopped. And when he was done, he said to me, Mommy, it was like I could see myself. And there was nothing I could do to stop feeling like this. So then I looked and I said, well, let's see what you ate today. And it turned out he had some chocolate. And that's where it clicked for him. And again, and maybe it's just me, I want to ask you, do you feel sometimes people tend to jump the gun on putting your kids on Ritalin and things like that, as opposed to looking at some other issues?
Well, I think it depends on the child. I think that there are many children where looking at alternatives like a diet, for example, can really be a solution and can really make such significant changes. However, there's also some kids that have such severe ADHD that they literally can't absorb what's going on in the classroom because they just can't stay focused. And when they start to really miss out on learning, then I think sometimes it might make sense to visit medication. But I do think exploring other options and not immediately going to medication can make a lot of sense for a lot of families.
I think that's a great idea. And again, I think quite often parents feel like they don't have a handle on what's going on, and it's just the simple solution that, and again, like you said, there are some kids that without medication, they can't attend what's going on. They can't focus. And that is something that is really important to identify as well.
Right.
And what can parents do as their kids are home and you're noticing these things? What are things that they can look for to be able to identify, oh, wait a second, maybe we need some outside intervention on this?
Well, I think if parents are noticing that their child's really struggling to get through their homework, whether it's they just can't sit still long enough to get homework done, or they're waiting till very late at night and they're up till 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get their work done, or they're really struggling to write a simple sentence and they're in fourth grade, or they're struggling to learn their letters and they're in kindergarten. If something just doesn't seem right, I always say, first thing you should do is speak to their teacher and see if their teacher is noticing any of these challenges at school. And if that's the case, it really might make sense to have an evaluation done to see if maybe there is something deeper going on in which the school can then provide services and accommodations to help them during the school day to really maximize their academic skills and their potential.
On that note, think of what Dr. Levy just said. We're going to take a quick break, say thank you to our supporters, and we'll be back here in just a moment on Word of Mom Radio. She is brave, she is bold, she is you, and we want to tell your story. Are you ready to share your journey with us on Word of Mom Radio? Go to wordofmomradio.com and register as a guest. We want to tell your story because when you win, we all win.
In 2017, Unsilenced Voices was formed to help survivors of domestic abuse and gender-based violence worldwide. The organization currently serves Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Ghana, and the USA. In 2022, Unsilenced Voices gifted over $33,000 to survivors in the USA, and in Sierra Leone, there are over 26 young girls who have been rescued from sex trafficking and domestic abuse and now going through vocational training school in order to better their lives. We need your help. Donations are critical in order for us to continue our work. We also need volunteers to help with research and development. Please visit unsilencedvoices.org for more information.
And we're back here on Word of Mom Radio. We are talking with Dr. Emily Levy, who is the founder and director of EBL Coaching. And we're talking about our kids and the special needs that kids can have. So as parents are entering their special education journey with their child, Are there any tips and ideas that you can give them that are going to help navigate that?
Well, I would say don't do it alone. Try to work as a team as much as you can in school. So a team meaning connect with your child's teacher, reach out and find out what kinds of services your child's school offers. For example, if your child has dyslexia, try to get Orton Gillingham tutoring in school. If that's not available, you might want to try seeking it outside of school. Connect with any other therapist they may be working with, again, a speech therapist, a physical therapist, whatever it may be, and set up regular meetings so that everyone's on the same page and everyone's working as a team. And also know that as a parent, you're certainly not alone. There's so many support groups, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, in person. There's so many other families that are in the same situation as you are. You are certainly not alone, and your child, of course, is not alone in going on this journey.
I think that that is something that needs to be stressed. You're not alone. I think very often parents of special needs children feel that isolation, that other people don't understand what's going on. And that has to be really difficult when you feel that, especially the different depth and how far that special education mantra and umbrella covers, you know, because there are so many different. Do you specialize in certain kinds of special education needs, Dr. Levy?
Well, I would say more of what we do is in the realm of attention and learning, so specific learning disabilities, ADHD. But with that said, we also do a lot of work with students who are on the autism spectrum, speech and language challenges. We have many students that have traumatic brain injury, physical disability. So really, again, the whole category of special education.
As you're dealing with a child with a traumatic brain injury, are there different ways to, I don't know, how does the brain heal? Is it going to, as the years go by, or is this something that, excuse me, is fixed and then you're learning how to work with what's there?
You know, it varies so much based on the child, based on the injury, based on the age. There's so many variables. But oftentimes we see difficulty staying focused for long stretches of time. They fatigue easily. Sometimes processing speed is slow. Sometimes their handwriting isn't what it was before. But it's very much variable based on the child and their specific circumstances.
Interesting.
It's okay.
What are some of the techniques that you find are working well for your special ed students?
Well, we find that, as I alluded to earlier, really following that research-based multisensory approach to teaching is by far the most effective. With that said, there are many different techniques that fall within that multisensory approach. So it's always a matter of catering the instruction to the specific needs of each student. And that's why I like to start by evaluating each student, reading any other evaluations or IEPs that they may also have to really gain a whole picture of who that child is and which specific methodologies within each specific academic skill would be most appropriate for that child.
You've been talking about Orton Gillingham. I would love
Yes.
to know more about that.
Sure. So Orton Gillingham is a specific research-based multisensory technique that's designed to help students develop their decoding and encoding skills, which is essentially really the mechanical aspect of reading and spelling, being able to accurately sound out words and spell words with accuracy. It was originally designed for students with dyslexia, but we have come to find that really all students who have a reading challenge benefits from the Orton Gillingham method. It's very structured and systematic. It follows that multisensory approach to teaching that I mentioned earlier. It spirals upon itself, meaning as new concepts are introduced, old ones are integrated. So that really helps information stick in their long-term memory. And it's very much of a diagnostic and prescriptive approach to teaching, meaning it's very much catered and individualized to the pace and the needs of each student.
You wrote the Strategies for Study Success, which is
I
a
did, yeah.
22-part student workbook. I would love for you to talk to us a little about that.
Sure. So I wrote that over many years, and it's a workbook series that, again, is all research-based, but it focuses on different skill areas within that category of strategies for study success. So there's a four-part writing series within that helps students develop their expository writing skills, specifically their ability to write well-written sentences, simple paragraphs, extended paragraphs, and five-paragraph essays. There's also a highlighting series that has four different, actually now five different parts to it, where students use a tricolored highlighting technique to help them develop stronger reading comprehension and active reading skills. There's a summarizing component, executive functioning, test taking, note taking. So it kind of covers those core skills of reading comprehension, writing, test taking, note taking, and organizational skills.
Excellent. I find it's such an interesting subject to me, and because special ed covers so much. When I was in school taking the psychology of the exceptional child, you have kids with autism that don't speak, that don't interact. You have kids with autism that are working in NASA. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that people, when they hear that term autism, they don't understand that spectrum. I would love for you to just give them a little enlightenment on that, because we're hearing so much now about autism.
Yeah. Well, autism in particular, as you mentioned, really has a very wide spectrum. So we have kids who are nonverbal on the lower end of the spectrum, and that's completely different than students who are on the very high end of the spectrum and might have what used to be called Asperger's, but really more sort of higher functioning autism, where they're often very strong at reading from a mechanical standpoint, sounding out words. They have very strong off the chart decoding skills, very strong spelling skills, very strong math computation skills. But then when it comes to higher levels of language, like reading comprehension, in particular, inferencing, abstract language, drawing conclusions, they have a real challenge with that. Oftentimes, they might have ideas, but they really struggle to express them on paper in an organized fashion. They might struggle with math word problem solving because of the language and comprehension involved. So with students like that, we're going to take a very different approach than a child who is nonverbal or minimally verbal and needs very basic early foundational learning skills. So again, it goes back to what I was saying before of always individualize the instruction based on the levels, the profile, and the specific needs of each student.
As we are starting to wrap things up, what do you want to say to that mom that's listening, that doesn't know where to go, doesn't know what the resources are, doesn't know where to go to get their child evaluated?
I would say, first off, start by speaking to their teacher. Their teacher can direct them from there. If they're noticing challenges, it might be an evaluation, it might be seeking accommodation. Start with their teacher. Their teacher is a really good place to begin with. But I think also, as I mentioned earlier, always advocating for your child, because a parent, a mom, a dad always knows their child best. And I really believe that they should always advocate. But also know that any child has the potential to be successful. I have seen so many stories of kids we worked with who had severe ADHD or severe dyslexia, and getting through school was such a challenge, but they have grown up to become successful engineers, CEOs, entrepreneurs. So sometimes getting through school is the challenge, but they often have the potential to really knock it out of the park when it comes to life. So always kind of keep that in mind as you go through this journey.
In looking at the resources out there, if you're somewhere where you don't know where to look, where can they look?
Well, aside from their local school, there are many organizations. For example, the International Dyslexia Association and the Learning Disability Association of America are great resources for any student who has any kind of learning disability. There's CHAD, which is Children and Adults with ADD, which is a great resource for attentional challenges. So there are resources like that. Our specialty, again, is specialized one-on-one tutoring, where we now are able to work with students around the world, not just throughout the country, but throughout the world, who may not have access in their local geographic area to specialized tutoring, whether it's Orton, Gillingham tutoring, multisensory tutoring, executive functioning coaching. So we're really able to help so many kids outside of our local geographic area who really would benefit from these services.
That's awesome. All of Dr. Levy's links are going to be live on Word of Mom Radio. What's your website?
Our website is eblcoaching.com. E like Edward, B like boy, L like Larry, coaching.com. And then, of course, we have social media channels under EBL Coaching on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X.
All of Dr. Levy's links are going to be live. Reach out. I love that you can coach globally by being able to be virtual. I think that's absolutely fabulous. And again, it's a great resource because you're not alone. There are people out there that understand what you're going through. There are people out there that can help you with resources and one-on-one things that you can do with your kids, with your school, that are going to give them the biggest advantages. So I thank you so much for taking the time to come share with us today and for the work that you're doing, because I know all the kids that are having that opportunity and all the families that that you're touching their lives and making them better for what you do. So good for you. Really, congratulations.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me today. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Right back at you. You know, again, I think it is so important for parents to realize they're not alone. This journey is not one that you have to take with your child all by yourself. There are people out there, there are experts out there, there are resources out there that are going to help you and your child maximize their school experience. And again, that what they're dealing with is what they're dealing with now. Like you said, people that you've worked with that, you know, with ADD and everything else, who have gone on to do all of these amazing things. You know, people forget that Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, you know, I mean, look at these people who have that on that spectrum. That's why it's a spectrum. So again, Dr. Levy, thank you very much for everything that you're doing. I really appreciate it. And for all of you tuning in, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to close out with our fabulous theme song from Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. So till next time, this is Dori DeCarlo saying go out and create a marvelous you. Bye for now.
She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true.